Who is letting me have coffee at 9 o'clock at night? I can do what I want. So, I wanted to tell about another dream that I had. It's a few nights ago. So, I was brought into this room, kind of like it's like an auditorium, and it felt like another time and another place altogether, and I was given authority over what was going on in this room. I was like in charge. And the flame is doing crazy things. Sorry. So I'm sorry. Ooh, mind wanderings are just taking over lately. So I'm in this auditorium and I'm in charge, and there's a stage, and there's a man on the stage, and he is like wrapped and bound like he's a prisoner, so that he doesn't get away, and he's basically like on trial, but there's no jury, there's no like crowd of people around to decide whether or not he's guilty. It's just me, and my job is to push 3 buttons, and these buttons will release 3 arrows, one at a time. And the arrows, if the man is guilty of what he's been accused of, the arrows were supposed to come down and injure him in some way or kill him. And my job was just to push the buttons to initiate whatever his fate would be. And if he wasn't guilty, then the arrows would not hurt him in any way. So I feel like this strange connection to this person that's on the stage, and also a sense of compassion and sadness, even though I know what he has done because I have experienced it, and I know that others have experienced it too. So it was with a heavy heart that I, did my duty and pushed the buttons, and I pushed them one by one, and one by one the arrows came down and they landed, not touching the guy at all. They landed beside him. And as that happened, I had the feeling that, okay, so, justice has proven, the unseen justice, force of justice in the universe, is deeming this individual not guilty. And at the same time that I had that thought, or that idea, also the thought was in my head that, no, actually, this being up on the stage is such a powerful being that he was able to manipulate those arrows away from him with his mind. And even though he was bound and he was, restrained against his will and all this, he was still incredibly powerful and incredibly unwilling to take responsibility for what he had done, for his darkness, for his evil deeds, for all the things that he was on trial for. And so those two ideas came into my mind at the exact same time, and I realized that I was standing in the presence of someone incredibly powerful and dangerous, and I wasn't exactly sure what to do. And I also still felt that strange level of compassion for this individual. Like I could understand him in some weird way, and I inherently knew that, I guess it was that I could feel what he was feeling, and he knew that his end was imminent, and I could feel that, and I felt sorry for him in a way. So there he was up on this stage. I was having this realization. The arrows were around him that he had mentally scattered away from himself to avoid infliction. And all of a sudden, the room just began to fill with this horrible, putrid, thick, like grayish yellow smoke. And as I started to notice this smoke just filling the air, filling the room, I also noticed that the guy on the stage, his whole being was changing. His face was changing. You could just see the life being sucked out of him. You could just see him. It started with like him aging really rapidly to an old wrinkled man, and then just the life just getting sucked right out of his being, and it was turning into this crazy cloud of horrible smoke. And he was just literally disintegrating into smoke in front of my eyes. And it was like the true power of justice had taken over the room and was doing away with this being that had he was basically just the embodiment of evil, I guess, in a way. And the room was just filling with smoke. And I intuitively knew that I shouldn't breathe this smoke in, and I was trying to think of the fastest way out of the room. So I head towards the front, and before I could even get there, the smoke was just coming at me like a hurricane, like full force. And I knew I couldn't get through the smoke to the door because I was blinded, and it was just like suffocating and overwhelming. And so I turned and ran the other direction and found the entrance the back way, or the exit the back way. And I got outside, and there were people kind of wandering around a little bit, but nobody really seemed to know what was going on. And so I got out like to this courtyard type place and ran as far as I could away from the building. And when I turned around to look, there was just the whole thing, the smoke that had come out of this being. It was like all of the pain that he had caused, and the evil that he had done, and the people that he had hurt, the souls that he had tortured and destroyed, all of that energy was coming out of his body and turning into this smoke. It was so strange. And luckily I was able to get out of the building without breathing any of it in. I knew somehow, like, if I breathed any of him in, it would like be in me, and I had a strong aversion to that. I did not want to let that happen. So I got out to the courtyard. I looked back. Smoke was just filling the whole thing, billowing out, and it was forming like a tornado that was going up into the sky. And so this tornado was just growing and growing and growing and growing and getting just massive. and then the sky sort of had like a slit in it, and it just sucked up all that energy, all that smoke, all the whole tornado thing, just sucked it right out of the air into whatever is beyond the sky. and that was it. It was gone. And it was really weird. It was a really strange feeling dream. And I felt like that whatever that evil was that turned into smoke, it was something that I had been battling myself on a personal level for a very, very long time, and it was finally finished. And somehow I still had this strange level of compassion for that being. I could understand his pain. I knew all of his evil deeds originated from a deep pain. And so I could have compassion for that. But at the same time, it was like the battle was finally over. And it wasn't just over for me personally, it was also over like for the community as a collective of us there. So I don't know if that, like, for anybody else that feels like sort of true for them too. But it felt like I was releasing something that had a very strong negative hold on me that I had been battling for probably lifetimes. I had finally won the battle and let it go. And us as a collective also had won this battle and are letting it go. And I don't know about anybody else out there, but for me, this was like 3 nights ago, and the last 2 or 3 days for me have been crazy. Like, I feel like I'm in a brand new world. I feel like I have a brand new start. The synchronicities in my life are blowing my mind. Like, crazy, insane. So, it's okay if So, anyways, I just wanted to share that and put it out there. If anybody else has anything that relates, I'd love to hear about it too. So, talk to you soon.